left off when the phone rang was we were talking about bash.
Bash, yeah.
Yeah.
Breathing, awareness, seeing, hearing.
Hmm. So you do those things, and then that brings you into the state of stillness.
Yeah, it gets you into a really peaceful, silent space. And you can do it waiting in line at the bank. You can do it driving everywhere. And nobody knows that you're doing it. And it's a great thing.
Cool. So kind of in that vein, I remember recently on Facebook, you posted a picture, and just so people know, it's winter here. There was snow and ice, and you have a pond in your backyard. There's a picture of you up to your neck in the water, ice and snow all around you, and I think maybe you can explain that because I think a lot of people would say that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of people are becoming aware of a guy named Wim Hof, who really trailblazed this cold water therapy idea where if you get in cold water, you it kind of dictates your actions. So people's first reactions are, "Oh my God, get me out of this water!" Because it hurts. It's cold. You don't want to be in that cold. So what he prescribes is just give yourself a moment and just breathe really deeply, and maybe even before going into the water, start breathing deeply so you oxygenate your body. And then when you're in the water, just let all those feelings of panic ease off. And then what happens is your brain function will go down into the crocodilian part of your brain where your brain meets the spine. And that's kind of an area of fight or flight.
Fight. Flee.
So it's very similar to the bash when you achieve proper meditation, which is, as many monks will tell you, it takes years to get to a space where you can just be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But the cold water puts you there.
Right.
Yeah, so you get in that space, and then all of a sudden everything that you are seeing is sharper, and you're hearing detail. Oh, and so it's a it's a space of reverie, and being able to have the will to stay in the water and experience that reverie. It's a beautiful thing. Now, what I've done since a year ago is stay in the water for at least 3 minutes at a time. And in the summer, when the water's like 68, you can just stay in there a long time.
Right.
So what inevitably happens is you get chilled to the bone. Then when you get out, like just being in the cold air outside with rain pouring down and you're naked or just have some shorts on, you're perfectly comfortable because it's a lot warmer than being in there. So it's empowering. Mm-hmm. Then you go in the house, and after a while, you might start shivering and you go, "Oh my God, I'm cold." So then you get all this energy, and you can go in the sauna, you can heat yourself up with a bunch of whatever, or you can heat yourself from the inside with concentration and or exercise. So I would, most of the year, I would get out and lift weights, slam sit-ups, run in place, do all this exercise to heat myself up. And then when you do that, you feel empowered. You really feel empowered. So cold water is a wonderful, wonderful therapy. I highly recommend it. And of course it's unpleasant, but going to the gym and working out, that's not exactly pleasant. I mean, you have to work, you have to struggle, you have to strive, you have to feel the pain.
Right.
Yeah, so cold water.
Excellent. Is this? I'm wondering. Is this who you've always been, or is like? It seems like you're doing a lot of mindfulness practices and exercise, and you're you're thinking very deeply.
Well, Mom and Dad raised us with a long leash, and my brother and I were always real explorative and innovative, and we were free to let all our energy go to places that most people don't go. We'd go for long walks, be gone for hours, and come back, and there was no problem. I mean, back then our world was a lot safer, but we both got very energized by being the kids that we were with that free environment. And so when I started playing guitar, one of the first things I wanted to do was invent a new kind of guitar that blah, 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 did this or that.
Right.
And then my brother was really inventive, and I'm the first person I know of to have had a wireless guitar setup.
Oh, wow.
He said, you know what? You should be able to blah, blah, blah. So he went down to Radio Shack and bought this and this and this, and put it together and plugged it into my guitar, and then I was able to have my guitar come through the FM radio.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And then he started designing and building our PA systems for our first band, the Army. And yeah, so over the years, that has just progressed and progressed to the point now where I've got many guitars that I've kind of rebuilt. Like, this is the Magic Man Les Paul. And it's a Les Paul.
I've seen this before. It's so gorgeous.
Yeah. And so I've got a piezo pickup bridge on it because I love joining piezo pickups with magnetic pickups. You get the full range of piezos plus the very limited magnetic pickups, but they're so warm and beautiful sounding. It's the best of both worlds.
Wow.
And then a dear friend of mine, Scott Dunham, redid the top woods in that beautiful way, and these are all, I think that's rosewood that he made, and then I shaped and sculpted and finished the body.
So
Yeah.
this is a humbucker and single coil, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
that single
interesting.
coil could be a stacked humbucker. I don't remember.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's
that
gorgeous.
indicative of the work that I do. But my next project, I got a laser printer, and I want to create this knob that is the perfect knob, and what it'll be is kind of cone shaped like that, with a rubbery outside that is very textured, so it'll just be so easy to go like that, to do volume stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And then I've got many other guitars that I've rebuilt.
It's so when I think of your career and kind of some of the signatures of your guitar playing. So for the career part, I think of innovation, because I think a lot of people take for granted how innovative a lot of the bands in the 60s and stuff were. And Heart was really innovative. I think you were the first, it was the first big album, successful album, rock and roll, that had acoustic and electric guitar.
I don't know who was first, but
Well,
that
but
was,
it was not
unusual
common,
at
right.
the time, yeah.
Because if you were a rocker, you were rocking. You didn't have...
Joining the kind of folksy two females with the real rockin' guys was very unusual. And to have somehow landed on the chemistry of these particular females and these particular guys, it was just an amazing chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like what we were talking earlier about how these four guys got together who were the Beatles, and because of their chemistry, what they brought to the world was the same kind of thing.
Right.
Who's pulling those strings that puts these people together?
Fate. It's like it's really amazing. Yeah, and I think for your playing, the word that comes to mind is tasteful. Like I've always, I think, like if you listen to like Yngwie Malmsteen, he's like a shredder. He's like technical and lots of notes, and his fingers must be plastic or rubber or something.
He has so much incredibly tasteful stuff that he does as well. Maybe you didn't hear a lot of that, but I mean, I used to kind of look down on him because it was so many notes and kind of a bravado thing, like look at me, But then I heard more of his music, and you really better not say anything judgmental, critical, or negative about Yngwie Malmsteen.
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I've got a little Yngwie story. The first time he came to Seattle, I thought, man, I got to meet this guy. So I guess I got a hold of his manager and got to go to his sound check downtown Seattle. And I get down there and it's, well, after sound check, he says, Raj, what'd you think? I said, well, all I could hear was guitar. Like, that's not good. He said, good, that's just the way I want it.
That's funny.
So that speaks volumes about his character, but that was a long time ago before he probably evolved quite a bit.
Yeah, well, he had a son and a family, and grew and did his thing too.
Yeah, and it begs the question, why do some of these guys get so good? Part of it is that they might have been really bullied when they're younger. They've got something to prove, They might be really insecure because of whatever reasons, and that insecurity makes them try just extra hard to show that I got chops, Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think insecurity is just a really important part of what makes great people great, because, like, should I be insecure? No, I shouldn't be insecure, but I am. And
right.
I mean, I look at guys like Yngwie or Eric Clapton or Bonamassa or Tommy Emmanuel, and I think I will never be able to do what they do.
Right.
And it's really discouraging and makes me feel like, geez, why even try, But then I think, well, now what if Paul McCartney sat down with Tommy Emmanuel? Paul McCartney wouldn't think, he would think that, my God, this guy is good. But he wouldn't think any less of himself because he doesn't do that.
Right.
His strengths are great too. They're just not in that same vein. So I have to look at that, and I look at my strengths and think that, whoa, Tommy Emmanuel will never write a song like this or this or this or this or this.
Right.
I'm pretty great too. And we have to hang on to those little gems of self-realization that we did this and are doing this, and we are great. We're good. We're just not good in that way, or that way.
Right. I remember I saw an interview with Ozzy Osbourne, and he said, I wanted to be the Beatles, but all I could be was Ozzy Osbourne. But, that's all anyone can be is themselves. Right?
Yeah.
And as I was saying, I find the melodies that you create to be always exactly what's called for in all of your songs. And if there's people that are more technical, I don't know if that's more important than creating the right thing at the right time.
So how could a person, where does that come from? How can a person do that? So what Paul McCartney has said is he doesn't know how he writes stuff, it just comes. And I think that it's important for creative people to keep in mind that the more you intellectualize and try to come up with a solution to what melody, what chords, whatever, or what color to put there, whatever. The more you intellectualize it, the less likely you are to come up with something universal, because the universal stuff comes from the universe.
Right.
And so if you can just calm down, be quiet, and just wait for something, that the muse or whatever, that it'll fill the void. It'll be there. It'll come. So McCartney says, when I write, it doesn't take very long. So when Ann and Nance and I and my brother Mike were living together up in Point Roberts, which is a little tip of land that sticks down across the 49th parallel into the United States and is part of the United States. We lived there while we gigged in Vancouver, BC, etc. When we were living there together, one day Ann and Ness were working on this song going dun, 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 dun. And Ann said, Raj, can you think of something that would you could play against this that would work? I said, I don't know. And so I just listened to him, and in about 1 minute I heard da 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 in my brain. And I picked up the guitar and went da 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 da, and they both looked up like yeah, and it was the right thing because it came from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a legendary lick too.
Yeah.
I remember when I told a friend of mine that I was coming to see you. He was like, it's really funny. The first thing he did was he went da 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 da, on the phone, and I was like, wow. I mean, it's like quite a compliment to I hope to do that someday, to make something that people all think of when they hear my name.
It'd be so great.
It's such a blessing.
So yeah, I wish you well.
Yeah.
One thing that Anne said just a couple years ago, we've stayed in touch via email. She said, I hope that whatever you wish for in life is, I hope that if you get what you wish for in life, I hope it's what you end up wanting. Because for everybody it's different, and we all react to things a different way. Some people, if they're successful, oh my God, they go on the ride. And some people can get back up, but a lot of people don't. So I was one of those people who might not have lived, 10 more years if I had stayed with Hart. Because I was just a party guy, high energy party guy that can really get you into trouble.
Yeah.
So I've always been real thankful that I was voted out of the band. And a year after having been out of the band, I realized what a bubble of non-realism I had been in.
Right.
Where you've got your secretary, you've got your people that, often you'll have a person that goes to the store for you, so you don't have to go to the store. All this stuff is taken care of, and you can just stay home and smoke pot or work on music or do whatever. But
Interesting.
All these people worship you, and they'll say all these right things and do all these just to be close to you, and it's just such a dangerous bubble to be in. So after a year, I realized, oh my God, I was not dwelling in reality.
Yeah.
And then I thought, wow, all those other guys are still in that bubble, and I will never be in that bubble again. And yeah, a lot of people, they never get out of it. And you can tell when you meet some entertainers, they're in the bubble,
Yeah.
And it comes off, well, it depends on who it is, but some of these people come off as just really egoistic and arrogant and just disgusting.
You're disgusting.
People that you wouldn't want to have anything to do with, even though they're really, really great at their art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question that I've been wanting to ask you. I don't know. It might be sensitive.
Okay, forget about it then.
Yeah, it's like, pack it up. Let's get out of here. So the question is I've had relationships. I've had breakups, but I've never had a breakup where decades later people are still asking me about it or reminding me about it, and I can't imagine how crappy it would be. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't label it, but it must be strange after all this time to have people saying like, "Oh, you were in heart. You know, you were in this relationship and it ended." And what is that like? Is that
well?
tough?
So that's a great question because that's the territory you're in when when you're famous. What happened 50 years ago, that's all people want to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, what's happening in your life now, or it's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 45 years ago,
You
know,
did this
and
thing.
so you're being constantly reminded of 45 years ago, and then when it comes to a person that you broke up with, well, that's the territory. So you just learn how to deal with it. And it's not like I don't like it or it makes me angry or something. It's when you understand why a situation is the way it is, then it's much more bearable. And it's the way it is because, I mean, if I well, not me, but I can understand why somebody who met Jimmy Page, a guitar player who met Jimmy Page, would say, in Stairway to Heaven, there's that one chord change. That's so,
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. This chord.
You can't help but do it.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly understandable. When I meet famous people, I treat them like I don't bring up the past. I just treat them like they're a person that we're talking, and that's all there is. Because the reality is that you're a guy, I'm a guy. If Paul McCartney was here,
right,
he's a guy,
yeah.
I'm a guy, and so it's really not. I mean, if he was here, of course, I'd probably. There'd be stuff happening in my body.
Yeah.
I'd be tingling in my fingers.
Yeah.
But
I would too.
They appreciate when you treat them just like a person, like it's no big deal. That's what they like. Some of them, they'll remind you who they are. Mm-hmm. Like they can't forget. They can't just have a conversation with somebody without cleverly bringing up, "Oh yeah, I used to be in the blah blahs," and then the person goes, "Oh," and then suddenly the conversation is different, and now this person is looking up to them, and they're feeding that thing that creates the bubble.
Yeah.
And even if the career ended 40 years ago for some of these people, they just need that bubble to be fed. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I can understand.
It's totally understandable.
I mean, it must be great to go around and have people say, "Man, I love you. You're the greatest thing." And I think it for me, what's scary is if people ever did that to me, if I ever started to believe that, like I am the greatest person.
I know.
This is the best thing anyone's ever done. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the bubble. So when we first started talking, you said the great Roger Fisher or something like that. And I said, well, yeah, and the great Brian Barron.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reality.
Yeah.
If you're going to call me great, I'll call you great.
Yeah. Well, that really tripped me up too. But it was, it's a good lesson. It's like, like.
Yeah, it's like we all pee and poop and put on our pant legs one at a time, and you've heard it all before.
What was the SNL skit? Christopher Walken. Hey, I put on my pants one leg at a time, just like everyone else. But when I do, I make platinum records.
Guys, I put my pants on, just like the rest of you, one leg at a time. Except once my pants are on, I make gold records.
Great SNL skit. You should check it out.
or yeah, I'm a very, very humble person. I'm probably more humble than most of you.
Yeah. I was you know, it was really cool when we were working on A Creature's Word, and I drove out here to meet you for the first time.
So, A Creature's Word is a song that Brian wrote
Yep.
that he had me play guitar on. And I get sent a lot of stuff. A lot of people want me to play on their song. And most of it, I don't ever want to hear that song again. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to do that, you know. But every once in a while, a song will come on, like it's A Creature's Word, right?
A Creature's Words.
Words, A Creature's Words. So I listen to the song, it's wacky, and the lyrics are stimulating, provocative, it's very artsy, and you know, it makes you kind of wonder, which is what art should do. And so I recorded guitar on it, but continue your story.
Oh, I was just saying I had no idea what to expect, you know, coming here, and you know, your partner opened the door for me, and your dog was there, and you got this wall with all of your records on it, you know, gold and platinum, and she's like, oh yeah, Roger's this way, and she leads me into the garage, and you're sitting there on an amp playing guitar, and I just thought, man, I bet he was doing that when he was a teenager, and he's just still doing the thing he loves, you know?
Yeah.
Just a guy playing guitar, you know, in his garage, having a good time. And it reminded me of something I think Santana said, where he said, no one is unhappy playing guitar, you know? And that's a bit of an aside. But yeah, it was cool to meet you and find you were just a genuine dude and, you know, down to earth and cool.
That statement, nobody is unhappy playing guitar, is a really good point because, for instance, I just picked up a new student the other day, and I have very few students because I only want the students that are really impassioned by playing guitar or, you know, people that I like.
Right.
Some of these people, no, I'm not going to give you guitar lessons. My time is more valuable than that. But this lady used to play guitar and sing back in the day, and she had aspirations of becoming big. Well, life happened, and now, 30 years later, whatever it is, she wants guitar lessons from Raj. So we get together, and she's just so excited to play guitar, and I see this and I think, you know, that guitar that you got there, that's making it really difficult for you. Let's get you a new guitar. Yeah. So we go to Guitar Center and try probably about 20 different guitars, and this one was quite a bit less expensive than all these other really nice guitars. She was prepared to spend as much money as necessary. And I was shocked because, you know, we tried this guitar, and these are really expensive. And we come back to this guitar, and this thing is wonderful. We like this guitar, and it's way cheaper. So we ended up getting that one. But man, oh man, she came in this morning, and she's just so radiant and so excited about playing that guitar. It's really beautiful. The guitar is a whole playground where you can get lost in just playing, and the world goes away, and you're stimulating your muscles, your spiritual and your mental processes in doing this thing that you're not good enough at and you're getting better at, which is a macro for how to live a life.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a great thing. And then sometimes, oh my God, you come out to your little room where you practice and so just happened. Oh, but that, not only that, but so and so happened. Oh, and you take that guitar and go, you know, and it's just, oh, it's your best friend.
Yeah. Wow. I wish I had gotten into guitar earlier. And I think part of it was, I've talked about it in other interviews. I didn't. I think when I was young, a lot of the music that was out on the radio that was guitar music wasn't coming from like the heart space, and because of that, I didn't understand what a deep instrument it was, which I think if I was a little smarter at the time, I would have realized, well, all the music I like from, the 90s and before, that's guitars I like, but I was a kid. But coming to it now, it really is fun, like it's really fun, and turning the gain on something and wailing on it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is wrap this and then reconvene another time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would be happy to do a 3-part interview with you if you want.
Yeah.
Or edit it down,
Yeah. So next time we get together, I want to be with my brother too.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I would love to meet Michael. I think a lot of people don't know what a huge impact he had on Heart and on music.
Yeah, they definitely don't.
Yeah. He's seems like a cool guy too. Yeah.
He's like your dad. He's a kind of a master in his own right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
great stuff, man.
thank you very much.
My favorite interview I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
I think mine too.
Yeah. Yeah, because geez, we're talking about worthwhile stuff.